for instance, the porn industry. It really made an image of what sex is or should look like, and it took the a little bit the dark side of it. And I think we can evolve as a human species, and in the interaction between men and women, and in the sexual interaction, we can evolve into something else. Like, you told me today some stories about your recent explorations, and I feel it's incredible for people to know that there's another way also.
In the organic way of seeing the bodies, how penetration is possible, that something can go hard and something can get wet for receiving the hardness. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Like the architect or the designer, Wakataka or whatever.
He did a really good job,
And how many books or movies or songs have been made of this dance between men and women?
And also the men trying to, how do you say, impress the woman. If you see it in the bird world,
yes.
they make the most beautiful dance, and the one gets the woman that makes the most beautiful dance.
Okay, so here we are in this time space. We met what would you say, 2 years ago?
I think so.
I met you in a birthday of a friend, and I told you something about space-time, right? It's lovely to meet you in this space-time reality, and I think that connected us. It has been like a joke from both of us
since then. Because we were never able to really meet through making an appointment, but we always meet somewhere in space-time in this little town.
Yes.
In the right timing. But today we actually made an appointment, so we do it differently today.
And we are sticking to it.
Yeah, so
Even
here we are.
We were not sure about recording this or not. But I think the time it's perfect for this try, and just the idea of this podcast is to speak or to tell about our experience. How can we feel as a body with a vulva or body with a penis, as a man, as a woman, and the energetic dance of these energies that we both have. So, how's your experience of being a woman in this planet?
Wow, that's a beautiful question to start with. And you asked it on Women's Day, actually.
Oh, this is Women's Day.
It's International Women's Day today.
Yes, I forgot for a moment.
And yesterday I was writing that there's, that it's interesting to being a woman, no? I think my path as a woman has a lot of been about cleaning all the ideas of what it should be to be a woman. All the objective ideas of how beauty is important, how we should look, where, how many of us women actually still carry a lot of insecurities. So I think for many years, for me, it was cleaning all of those concepts and ideas of what it actually is to being a woman. And now I feel it's incredible. It's I don't know, I find women amazingly powerful, and they're like a dance. I feel it's if they're cleaned a lot of that preconceptions of what it actually is to being a woman, I think if they can liberate that, I feel it's it's as if you're dancing through reality and being receptive and following flow, and it's amazing, seeing the synchronicities of life in many places, and to be able to surrender. But it's the thing, I tell you, because we carry still a lot of trauma, I think, on the planet.
And how's your experience being a woman of men? I know you have many connections or whatever of men, but in the overall, how do you feel that you get perceived or approached by men?
I think many times I get objectified.
Okay.
Honestly, people see my green eyes, for instance.
And more in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Like, you are not like
At all, like, and they see my green eyes, and it's immediately like they portray a picture of the outside, of a woman. And if you're open and receptive, I think sometimes the misinterpretation can be from men that I'm flirtatious or that I want something from men, and immediately they want something from me. So it's like a tricky dance with men, I think. But I think according to history, I feel like there's a lot of misunderstandings between men and women. Like I feel that we have a lot of bad experiences. I was writing about it yesterday for Women's Day, actually, that 90% of women have bad sexual experiences or sexual assault, 90% at the age they are 21. So this affects the way, women are perceived and the way women perceiving men. And I think this is still like a big thing we're working on this planet, to get that back in balance between these energies of men and women, because we're amazing creatures together, and I think we have a lot to learn together. But it's not an easy ride.
It's not that it's simple. It sounds simple. Like for me, in my perspective, we were designed to complement each other. You know, like the design, for example, of the penis and the vagina, like the inside, no, the vulva, because I know the outside is called vulva.
Wow.
And it's not vagina.
Great. You learned from who did you learn that?
From women, it's like sexual education that perhaps I once read The Multi-Orgasmic Couple. I've read some passages with 3 different women together, reading the book about knowing the male anatomy, because I learned of my male anatomy. I didn't know we had a $1 million spot. That's what is it called? El punto del millón de dólares.
Wow, I didn't know too.
And
Tell
I was
me.
like, yes, but because it's not the perineum or the anus or the balls, it's like right in between, more to the anus. But it's like, I feel it's like a kind of a male clitoris, all that area.
With so much nerves coming together in one spot.
Yes, and it's really sensitive and everything. But in the organic way of seeing the bodies, like how penetration is possible, like something can go hard and something can get wet for receiving the hardness, it's amazing.
It's incredible.
Like the architect or the designer, like Wakantanka or whatever.
He did a really good job, no?
And it should be simple to get loving connections, and sharing experiences and everything, but sometimes it's not. And that's one of the main points of having these dialogues, with authenticity, with not trying, like for me, not trying to be better than I am, or just having these dialogues in this space time to
understand more of the dynamics between men and women, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to be, and that's the kind of intimacy I've known for like 3 or 4 years now, that learn how to intimate with a woman. Because before it was like, if I see you, I grab your hand and we're going to bed, and it's going to take penetration. It was like on or off, But I've encountered, like, especially with you, that you told me about the term creationship, because it's another way of getting to know women. Like when you take out a little bit the idea of sex, for example, and just let love to be what it needs to be, this connection, like a talk or a creation, it's the way that I felt it can be more intimate than a poor fuck, like you could have like some sexual experience that I would rather prefer to talk about emotions or hug each other, and I think that I understand men that wants to sexualize every woman he meets, because I have a part of that, but
would you say that's the animalistic part, what we just shared?
Yes.
Yeah. I just shared with you, about the chimp documentary I watched
Tell me, tell me.
about the chimpanzees. Like they follow like a chimp empire, and they actually like you see this animalistic way of behaving. And actually, here in Amatlan, this place where we live, if you look at dogs, sometimes a woman is running from the man. Like she's running, but the dog just goes after her until he have her on her knees or on her, and he fucks her like that. So it's super animalistic to have this behavior within our systems, no?
It's like natural. It's like we are animals,
We are.
but with a sense of ethics and moral and, of free will that you act or you don't. But at the core, we have this biology, in our bodies, in our way of, and I think it has been a thing from ever, from Adam and Eve, or like men attracted to women, and dancing. That hey, I want to interact with you, and you play not, and it's like a thing in every country, in every stage of life. How many books or movies or songs have been made of this dance between men and women.
See, and also the men like trying to, how do you say, like impress the women. If you see it in the bird world,
birds, yes.
they make their most beautiful dance, and the one gets the woman that makes the most beautiful dance. But like I think in somehow, like even for instance the porn industry, it really made an image of what sex is or should look like, and it took the a little bit the dark side of it, and I think we can evolve as a human species, and in the interaction between men and women, and in the sexual interaction, we can evolve into something else. Like you told me today some stories about your recent like explorations, and I feel it's incredible for people to know that there's another way also. Like, we can have this animalistic like surrender, because I feel for many women, what I experienced recently in an experience is that it's also nice for a woman to fully surrender like that to a man's dominance. Like there's this edges that women in this new world needed to be like more masculine, and even I think in the lovemaking that portrays in that they want to control.
Yes.
And this openness, if a feminine is really in her femininity, she just, I don't know, she opens, like, how do you say this?
Like follows the lead, like a dancing partner. Like when you trust a man and you're dancing and you take him, like lead the way, and trust, because also a man has to prove to you, consciously or unconscious, that you are safe with him.
This is it.
Like the safety bubble for a woman to open, I think, is trust and, and make feel safe to explore that primitive way of behaving, instead of trying to be the same. It's like we're totally different and the same at the same time. But if we are in our masculine and I think the best ingredient to the sexual exploration is consent. Because also I've talked with women that have had these animalistic partners that and they feel, I don't know, like a whore sometimes, and they enjoy it, and ask him like, treat me like a whore or something. But then the guy the next day wants it the same way,
and then the woman doesn't want it.
And it's like, no, it's like how to learn and listen to the body of your partner at the moment, because if it happened once, it doesn't mean it can happen the next day and the next day. And sometimes you just want to connect with the eyes, and sometimes you want to let your animal go,
And sometimes you just want to hug, or you want to. For me, like I was writing about this experience yesterday in my book, so I do want to share it. Like this consent is like the communication, and we think we understand each other as feminine and masculine, or woman, man, but actually we don't. And everything is the whole time evolving. So what's true today is not true tomorrow. So it asks for continuous dialogue and understanding, and truly asking the other also. And for me, I had like, in a certain way, this idea, of what sex was. Or we grow up with our books, and your dad sometimes tells you something, but it's really, I don't know, it was really a taboo growing up still in my age, I don't know. And then my first experience with this consent changed everything for me. Like I did like a tantric play with somebody that I didn't expect to have this experience with. And it was with consent. So we made our intentions clear before we had this experience. And then it was like we were asking each other questions. Like I would say, like, it was receiving and giving. So I want to give you, I don't know, I want to kiss you in your neck, something like that. And he could say no or yes. But he was doing the same with me. And it kind of like changed so much my view, like of like, wow, I can say that I don't want penetration today. Like, no, I don't feel like that. No, I'm in a certain cycle of my moon, like our women's cycles are, no, if we ovulate, like, wow, like there's a lot of more energy to have maybe kinky sides of experiences. But if we're more towards our menstruation time, we're like, oh no, I want like soft, leave me alone, don't touch me even, or just
hug me,
just hug me,
just contain.
And it's like so different, these cycles. And with this man, I was so lucky to experience like different sides. And this is like where I also experienced that that tantric practices between a man and a feminine can explode in an energy practice of feeling that I never experienced with animalistic penetration, for instance. Like, and it was just through being completely present, breathing, massaging each other with our clothes on. And it was like, what's going on? I even saw in that moment like a vision coming to me, like, wow, penetration is such a child's play. Like,
yes,
it's a child's play. There's layers and layers of exploration in the dual dance of men and women that we never experienced. And it's incredible to dive into those depths, but have it that with a safe partner, no?
That's what I experienced something similar with a woman I've met like 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. She was from, from other part of the world. Mm-hmm. But we met, and it was one of the women's where I read the thing, and it was a part that it say, like, before going to bed, mm-hmm. ask your partner what does he or she likes, like talk about it. And we were reading, and I was like, yeah, like, do you like bites? No, not that much, like just talking, mm-hmm. natural, mm-hmm. without any ego mm-hmm. to be offended, mm-hmm. because that's the thing, mm-hmm. that when we don't learn how to communicate our mm-hmm. sexual or sensual mm-hmm. or erotic needs, mm-hmm. and the man or a woman can feel ashamed of being a lousy lover, for mm-hmm. example. Mm-hmm. It's a sensitive thing to speak to a woman or to a man.
Yeah.
But when you go cross that boundary mm-hmm. of just communicating and asking, I perceive like a body reading is mm-hmm. really good, but also the verbal mm-hmm. thing that I like this. Could you do this? Like speak, and because it's better for both parties. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the ego that, oh, I don't know how to treat a woman. No, but every woman, it's different. You know what? Different. Used to work with one, like the other one hates it at all. You know, like, fuck it, don't touch my clitoris. It's so fucking sensitive. I was like,
what?
Once I found it, I have found it, God. I found the clitoris, and then
bam, you're like, smacked in the face by the next one.
Fuck that.
I love it. This is also like, but this is it. Like, you need to be so much in your openness of not taking these things personal, no? Like, and really listen to one another. Because, for instance, in this experience with this man, which I had like this energy experience, like it was, I don't know, I got an orgasm, which I never had in my life. I didn't know it existed. I was like, wow, if this exists. But after we were still playing, and my mind suddenly came into this state of judgment. And I was like, holy shit, this man is, like, I'm going to tell his age also because I had a shame because of that. He's 63. And he's the age of my father. And this mind went out of this energy play, and he could feel it. So in that moment, he said, what are you thinking? And I was like, wow, you really want to know? Like, because it's not pretty. Like, it's saying that you could be my father and that you're 63 years old. Uh-huh. And he didn't take it personal. He didn't take it personal. And because of that, the thoughts just moved, and we could continue with our dual play. And then another thought came like, oh, somebody maybe from the community walks into us and then is going to judge us, and what are they going to think of me, that I'm with this man, no? And then the same thing, he felt it because he was super present and he had a practice for his whole life. And I was like feeling that I was with a master that could teach me things that I would never be able to experience with somebody else. And then I don't know. And then again, I said like, oh, I'm so afraid of the community and what they think of me, you know. And again, it moved, and that was so liberating. So it's a lot to do with your practice, also from your inside, and not taking the thing so personal. So if I do something to you that you don't like, and you say I don't like it, not thinking like, oh, the drama, no, oh, he doesn't like it, now I'm a bad woman and I'm doing things wrong in my life, something like that. But really listen and being able to play. Like it's a dance, like it's a play.
I think that also playedness is really important, because for me, when I remember how to play and not take it too seriously, you know, like more in a childlike exploration and having fun, I could go over the mental barrier of wanting to get a woman orgasm.
I see.
Like, you know, like I brought every time I was with a woman, like this mental
idea.
Baggage, weight.
It's a weight
of the responsibility of know how to please a woman, and that weight was like in my head, like, okay, so okay, there's the nipples and the touching and the licking, and should I press the button? And it was a tension. And when I learned to take things more playfully, like just like licking here or exploring in this area of just smelling or just having fun, it took away that baggage, and it started to happen more often. You know,
and
like
these are the ideas.
A woman feels safe and childish, and you know, to play and take the lead, and the thing starts just to like to heat up.
It's
you
like
know, it's like a heat that you can activate in both of your bodies, and being aware of that mental, you know, dimension, because you can go right back in the ego of fear. Am I doing it well?
Oh, she didn't get an orgasm yet.
Yes.
Oh no, now the sex is not because she didn't come. Like, wow, it's a big one.
And sometimes being in this hearing capacity of what do you want and need in this moment. Like for me, I've become a multi-orgasmic man, and for me, penetration is like the cherry of the cake, but it's not all. Like sometimes I can explore without having penetration, and I am very pleased because I learned how to cultivate the energy, you know, and I go in this dimension orgasmic.
Waves. And you stay there.
Yes, and it's like a smell, a kiss, a touch, an eye, you know, it's like everything is so orgasmic, and if penetration happens, so be it. But it's not like my main thing anymore. It's funny. And these energetic practices that you can do with a woman specifically, I know you can do it with a man, but with a woman, or feeling the energy or connecting chakras, or, you know, like touching the heart and connect. I used to do, with a recent experience, like this meditation that I honestly love women that know themselves as women and are not fighting with men. But for his example, like we held hands, and from my first two chakras, I like energetically penetrate her, and she received, and she moved the body to her heart, and she penetrates me from the heart, and then I put it up from my crown chakra, and then she from the heart, and me from my giving energy, and a woman feeling receptive enough to play the role of receptiveness, and the guy like the giving, and not take it like, oh, you're a macho or whatever. Like, no, we have different roles, and
energies.
We're practicing, and for me it can be better that without even kissing, that, you know, experiences of a lousy fuck, you know, like a quickie, like okay, let's do it in the bathroom, 5 minutes, yeah.
Done. And you're completely depleted. Like not. Like
yes.
I'm wondering this, because this is what I heard many times, but I didn't check it so much with men. But they say, no, like in my yoga education, they said, like, if a man like explodes his energy like that with coming, like with an orgasm, it's like
Yes, you can feel it
boom,
drawn.
like really like depleted, no?
Yes.
So for instance, with this man, now you're saying about this practice, like we were just touching each other, and the energy, you become like an energy central, like you're pumping the energy, and you become almost orgasmic from somebody, like touching you like this, like touching your skin. It becomes so sensitive. But then in those moments when we felt like too much, we would stop and we would sit and we would breathe together. We would bring ourselves into meditation and do breath work together. And I think it's incredible, because then it's an endless play without having this boom, like this explosion after 5 or 10 minutes, like, yeah, I'm boom, done, no, in the toilet somewhere.
And the
And
breathing like
Yeah.
a monkey. Go. Yes.
And then it's like this man and also me, after this experience, I couldn't sleep for 5 nights. I was full of energy, and the whole people in our community said, what the fuck is going on with this man? Like, he's 63 and he's walking around with a light. So he regained a certain vitality and an energy because of that, and it's beautiful. Like, there are so
What
many
you can
layers.
nurture ourselves from that experience, instead
Yeah.
of being like, oh, this guy, or being a bad experience. But yes, we are talking about something really, really important about communication. You know,
Yeah.
and the depths of. I understand. I was reading the Magdalene manuscript I was telling you about, and it speaks about these energetic dimensions, for example, of ecstasy. You know, that a woman, like with caressing, with feeling safe and blah, like Mary Magdalene in the Channelized Supposed book, she speak about her consciousness can open different and deeper layers of consciousness through just, you know, like getting her into this, like it's like magic. We forget that we are magical beings and honor the other, you know, like honor the sacredness of a woman and the sacredness of a man, you know, because we can hold space for you guys to also love, you know, and it's nurturing in both ways. It should be always.
It should be.
So
So
I think
now what?
that every man would love for her partner in the moment to have an amazing time. And every woman as well, you know. What would be an advice to a man that is listening? Like one thing, the most important thing for him to reach all your levels of the divine and the animal and the heart.
I would say to listen. Like, I have a feeling that we make many times pre-assumptions or have all of these ideas, no? Or we watched a lot of porn, and many men, like I met many men in my journey on this planet that had a porn addiction, for instance, and that brought certain ideas of what sex looks like, and then they project it on their partner, no? And I think to have this intercambio, like, how do you say that in English?
Interchange?
The interchange of respect, and really sitting down and listen, like ask your woman, like what she loves, how she loves it, no? And I don't know, have a dialogue, and the next day again, because what you say the next day, somebody can be in a completely different state. And for most women, like we wave, we have a lot of emotions going on, and every day is different. Sometimes I feel like a mad woman, and the other moment I'm completely in my power, and I feel I can conquer the world. It's not like that, but I feel such a different energies moving in 1 month or in one cycle through my being, that a man really needs to be receptive also to listen. And then it's like a reciprocity, like to dance this dance together, and being able, what I told you before, I think also is really important. Like in this time, it's really easy to distract yourself, no? And to not be present. And like there's a million things you can do online, and I think women really have this longing, which I hear a lot in my private sessions with women, that their men are present and committed also. So if you go into this exploration with a woman as a man, yeah, like maybe something comes up which is not really nice, or you're being confronted with uncomfortable feelings, and you can really easily say, oh, I'm going to go to the next woman because there are 400 online waiting, no? And you can always feed these monkeys of desire with other experiences. But I think if you really want to go to the depth of the exploring sexually also with someone, it asks for a lot of trust, a lot of listening, a lot of presence, and a lot of dialogue and a lot of understanding, and being able to not put your own projections on the other, but really say like, wow, what are your needs? No, what do you need as a feminine? And but also being able to communicate your needs as a man, because sometimes the woman goes like that and the man is like, holy shit. Like, I think sometimes it's also good for a man to set boundaries. Like, okay, I don't take this from you. No, don't treat me like that. We also ask for clear direction and guidance. Like, so it's an exploration together, but I feel it's really beautiful if that would be with commitment and with trust and understanding and listening. Yeah.
Yes, and it's simple, but then I don't know, like the ego, like this human thing, as we were talking about, like we can. I don't know. I've met many. I don't know, like medicine women, like conscious, and even though we are on this so-called spiritual path and have done many ceremonies of this or that or silence or meditation, the human relationship, it's like the triggers specifically
between
that
man
we
and woman
hit unconsciously, because one thing is when I want how to communicate it, what it goes through my mouth, and
how I perceive it.
How you perceive it, because if I say you're a beautiful woman, I've met women that find it really hostile to say that she is a woman, even though she has a vulva, and that she's beautiful. So my intention could be like, I'm just admiring a work of art of Wakantanka, but she's like, oh, you fucking misogynist, you know? So
you're objectifying me. You see me only for my beauty.
Yes.
Something like that.
And that's when you can trigger something that you are not even aware of. And then you get a reaction, and that reaction could trigger a thing in you or in me. And I can go into this fighting, you know. And even though, that's what I was telling you, that even though I feel myself, I've had many spiritual and deep and true experiences of my spirit, of my essence, of the no self or whatever.
And then you come in a relationship with a woman and you get triggered and you explode and you're like, what?
Yes, and it can trigger your, I don't know, anxiety, expectations, anger, love,
rage,
tenderness, rage. And then you're like, was I not spiritual enough to not get attached, for example?
Wow.
Wasn't I over that human emotion?
And this is funny, no? Because I think, like what I just said, like our humanness and our human mess, like it's part of this dance. Like you can have all the light and experiences, non-dual experiences that you want, and then there is the dual experience reflected in another person that doesn't understand you, that push a button where you get super angry and your little kid is like fighting, and then it's like, well, we're all humans again, like living in this dynamic and working, I think, with these feelings of uncomfortableness. And I feel this is also one of the biggest teachings. We can hide forever on our mountain and not having uncomfortable experiences like that because we don't have the mirrors of people reflecting that. Or you step into it and you really go for it, and you get triggered, and you being able to reflect on those triggers and say, wow, my little girl here still got hurt. Like, and it's a past memory from something my dad did when I was young, and you are mirroring that for me in this moment, and that's why I can feel it and say thank you for the trigger. But it asks for a lot of honest communication.
And just knowing, because, for example, one time, like, we could work together anger or sadness, we could work something out about, like, babe, when I tell you the keyword, like bugu bugu. I am feeling angry and I just need to hold some space. Don't take it personally, but let me work the anger with you. Like I once had this experience with a woman that we were lying on bed and we started like kind of wrestling, like so soft, but then it got like she was putting a lot of strain, and I was like, "Fuck, she's gonna dominate," and she pulled me like trying to wrestle like in consent, but it triggered us like this special of animal, like we were kind of letting the energetic anger or strength, like dense energy or strong energy, being melted in our
Wrestle.
in a wrestle, like with love, with much love. But I think it could be a way, like how can we work with the emotions, like
with
and
an anger.
learn how to be a partner, not a therapist, nor a mom, nor a dad, not a helper, because I do also help people, but learn how. What's exactly the role that I'm not your son, I'm not your father, I'm not the one that has to get you fixed. I'm your partner.
And I want to work with this with you.
What does it mean? What are my boundaries about being a mom for a man that wants a mom, like unconsciously, like, hey, I'm not your mom, but it's weird. It's so weird because
it's
we
taking
came
all sorts of
out
forms.
of a woman, and we sucked nipples from our, and then you like
Wow.
nipples on women, and the first man you met probably was your dad, and it's unconsciously your 3 first years, it's the example of a man.
And this is, do you know what comes up with me now? I did a session with a man, and normally I work with women, but I did a session with a man, and he had a memory in that session of his first sexual feelings were with his mother. And he was so ashamed himself that he had these feelings with his mother that he suppressed his sexual energy, like for probably the rest of his life. And we found out in that session that the suppression of that energy cost him the cancer. He had a cancer in his, how do you say it?
Prostata?
Yeah.
Cáncer de próstata?
It was an energy suppression of the shame that he felt that for the first time he sexualized his mother. And it was like, oh shit. So these things are deep, and it starts early, the exploration of sexuality and how do we relate to that, and all the shitty images we get after that from sex and how we should relate to one another. And then we all got confused.
Yes, it reminds me, did you see a movie that is called Bliss?
No.
It's about like a marriage that is not going cool, and this woman goes to a tantra therapist, and then the man follows her and he sees that he's like kind of fucking her, his wife or something, like.
Wow.
And then he approaches and says like, motherfucker, you were fucking my wife. And he was like this cool Zen guy, like vegetarian, and he was like, I was not doing that, I'm helping her dealing with an experience she had as a child but hasn't completed. So sometimes I have to act on that way. And on the movie she remembered abuse that had with her father.
I see.
And the worst thing that she found out through the movie is that she liked it. Like she really experienced pleasure what she was being abused as a child from her dad.
Shit. Yeah, because we can't.
And acknowledging that it's like the same thing, and it's really interesting because that could be seen as fucked up. Like, can you
literally fucked up,
and in the moral or the beliefs of being a human being, but that our gift of having thoughts or dividing things could be our blessing or our curse, because the belief that it's wrong to feel the way that this human spacesuit feels can lead to many problems and fuck your life up. It's really interesting.
But this is why I think so many people are going to the depths first, need to go to the depths of their own being, because in my sessions with women, I find a lot of sexual abuse. Like many women have this idea with men, so they don't trust men. Unconsciously, they don't trust men, so they don't open up. No, so they and then in the society, it's really asked of women to be this masculine because they are providing for the kids. They need to, have an income. So of course, there's like a disbalance now between masculine and feminine energy because there's a lot still like the ideas we had and the sexual abuse many women lived, and then later in life we try to, I don't know, find new ways. And I think it takes time. Like it takes a lot of time to find new ways to talk, to understand, to share, to listen. Like things like this for me is like really helpful also. Like sitting and seeing you really presently listening to what I'm saying. It's so helpful, And over the last years I was in so many women groups, like women's circles, and I think this is spreading now in the world, and it's for a reason, because women with other women are doing a lot of healing together. They are really listened to. They hold each other when they go to their rage or to their anger or to their memories of abuse, or that they think they still don't trust their partner, or their partner goes away and they still think he's going to fuck another woman, because they're completely in mistrust, and having all sorts of ideas that are not true. So this work always starts, and this is also what they say in the Tantra, it always starts with us being really clear with us and doing this inner understanding of how these past patterns are still playing out in our lives. But then in a certain moment, I think it's time to do it in a dual relationship. Even it's super hard, but I think it's like, I'm ready now to commit. Let's do it.
To continue the healing process with the sacred other.
And I think you get the most mirrors then, because it's the whole time like, oh, you're saying something, oh.
Yes.
Oh, this hurts, or I want to protect, or I want to hide, or I want to.
The secret ingredient could be the intention of going with that person, the fire that at the next day you're gonna keep being or trying, but that can turn off in the other or in you, and that's how we split. Like I don't have the intention to keep working with this with you. Like it does not feel flowy or easygoing. So if you have the intention and like I want to walk at your side in this human planet, you can work it out. And that's why even though I think for me in Mexico at least, like marriage or divorce is still seen like no good thing, because you marry until before the church and God and everything. And I know many marriages that have held because of the shame of getting divorced. But even though like try to be 30 years with the same person, I'm like, okay, like something, you are a master that I am not in many areas, like how to wake up with the same partner for 30 years,
And many partners like that, I think, are completely interwoven and intertwined, and like it's really important in those relationships or creationships to hold your own center, and not completely like merge with the other and don't have a clue anymore who you are. And this is, I think, now why so many relationships people are trying new ways and thinking like, wow, like I have also my own path to walk and I have my own things to heal. And then when it's time, the person will come that is ready to do a part of that path together.
To
play together.
The game of the couple.
And play the game of the mirrors,
But the thing is, we are all mirrors. Like I have been having this kind of perceiving reality as saying, okay, if I get close to Marit, to her eyes, I'm just gonna see my reflection. What I think that it's you, I'm not going to look you in the knee or in your feet. I'm gonna look you in the eye, and then at the end, the only reflection I receive is myself. So I think that our light and our darkness, it's constantly being reflected. Like what you admire from me, it's within you. What you hate about me, it's within you as well. And sometimes the mirror, it's not what you would think it should be like, because if I point you, there's a mini me pointing myself back. If I say I love you, there's a mini me saying I love you
to you
back, and it's always inside. And to the dark and the light, because many partners also we're attracted because of the light. Then we smell the stinky farts. Oh fuck, the shadow. I don't know. That I didn't sign for it. Like fuck up.
Or your woman like explodes in a or has her, I don't know, her ups and downs, and you're like, oh shit, this is not what I signed up for. Like,
like
what we perceive as
you
dark.
like the pleasant sensations that your partner gives you, but when you get to feel uncomfortable sensations,
no, we run.
Yeah. But I think it's all about integrating the dark and the light within to be able to handle what we perceive as dark in the other, because it's no other. There is no other.
But this is interesting, Tielo, because many times I say, as long as we cannot sit with our own uncomfortableness, like I learned this many years ago, and I'm still so grateful. We say anger, rage, all of these emotions, oh, they're bad emotions. Or when I was young, I heard many times, please don't cry. And it was not somebody's fault, but it was just another person that couldn't handle my crying, or that cannot sustain that energy. So it's not those emotions that make us uncomfortable. It's nothing else than energy. So if we allow ourselves to feel it, like sometimes it's the pressure on the heart. Now, if I get super like sad in a place and I feel there's a lot of things going on, my body processes it. This is my work. And then I feel like a pressure on my heart that sometimes I feel like, I don't know if I get a heart attack in this moment, but it's heavy. And then I start wailing, crying, and that energy is just coming out. I end always with laughter. And I try to teach or share, because it's not teaching, but it's sharing with people. Crying is not bad. Like, stop telling that we don't stop crying. No, stop crying. Please stop crying. No, like, if you feel angry, go in your room and rage, like work with those energies and those feelings within your system. And I think everything will transform, because then you can say, oh, this emotion is not bad. It does something to my system, which is super uncomfortable in the moment, but it will transform if you shine light on it. And you said before something really interesting, because you said, I was afraid of doing talks or public speaking. And then this emotion of anxiety comes, and you're sweating, and you're like, wow, run!
You're wrong.
And then you you face it, and it's just a little light that it needs to say, I see you, but I'm still gonna do it. And then, boom, it moves.
To move through it.
It moves through it. So in every dynamic of relationship, when we get triggered, don't run. Don't run. Sit with it. Feel it. And there's this practice of Tonglen, which I learned many years ago, which saying we want to run so bad from the bad emotions, that they keep hunting us. And if you actually sit with them, breathe them in, the dark, and you transform them, you see, wow, there was like this.
And in the man, woman, or human
dynamic,
it should be known that, the other has these emotions, these energetic vibrations that has to handle, and just be able to hold space, being a woman, a man, a friend, or and know that it's not personal, when I started to, I have been having this creationship with a woman recently, and we were creating, recording video and talking and designing, no physical touch, but I started to feel heat up, that thing, excites me, being able to the mind and to the action, it really turns me on, to be able to co-create with a woman. And I was feeling this, and I told her, I'm feeling so horny right now, but the other side of the table, she was like, fuck, me too. Okay, what should we do? Because we are in this creative mode, right? We have to keep working, but we don't,
And use that energy for your creation, something like that.
Yes, and we started to breathe, in front of each other, feeling the desire on the lowest chakras, and just start to going and putting up, to the system, to acknowledge it, to feel it, to expand it, and just to breathe through it, and then keep back working,
It's
and
beautiful.
just being able to know that we are complex emotional beings and be able to work it out, because it's not with you. You're triggering me something I have to learn how to deal it with me. And this is the way I cry. I shout, I fucking hit something. Don't take it personally. I'm not gonna hit you, but let's it would be cool, to not take it personal, because as you say, there's just energy that you have to let it flow through your system.
Yeah, but first you need to be able to feel it now, and for that I think, for instance, silence and being able to sit with yourself and feeling everything instead of putting all sorts of labels and concepts. I think in silence you really learn to tap into those subtle feelings, and then when an energy like that comes, you are more able to feel it and then release it. The body gets this memory back, but that takes time. I think it takes time. Practice, like time and practice.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
So, how would you wrap up our...
Wow. I wanted to ask you the same thing.
To wrap it up?
No, like how would you wrap it up? Like, what did you take or not take? Because what did
I
you
feel
get
really
reflected?
happy having this dialogue with you, because also I perceive you as a wonderful woman, like wise and funny and ping pong, and very feminine but creative, and and having this dialogue, it's great for me. It's great because I know that there's a way to be able to co-create together, men and women, and it's just about understanding, handling the space of being, of truly let the other be, and learn how to be our authentic selves, but also let be and let be, but in a safe and loving space. Sounds simple.
Sounds so simple. Yeah, and for me, what I want to, I think, end with, like, for instance, on Women's Day, and in feminism, we can also like really go into this blaming of the masculine, but in the end, the masculine comes out the feminine, like out of the womb of the feminine. So I have a feeling, like, I saw a documentary, The Wisdom of Trauma, many, many times, and
From
it's
Gabor Mate.
yeah, it's one of my favorite. And the picture I have there is this man that did the most horrible violence. So today in Mexico, they wear black. The women go onto the streets to march against femicide, like feminicide. I think it's the murder of women. And it's like, I have a feeling we need to stop fighting, and we need to stop finding one another, no? Because these men are also many times really influenced, traumatized men, no? Like, so in this documentary of Gabor Mate, you see a group of men that killed their wives, that did the most horrible things to their other companions, and then this woman asked them, like, who of you was beaten when you were young? And step in the circle, please. And they all step in the circle, like, who never experienced love, no, or experienced love through beating or through, and they all step in the circle. So it's like we all have to heal, but not by saying, the masculine is like, is so violent, because that's how we proceeded, and we have many experiences of violence with men. So we get like in our caves, and but I think this, for me, reflects that it's time to be in dialogue and to find one another and to listen, like to start really listening to one another. Also to the traumas, also when we get triggered, also in the sexual things that sometimes a man just wants animalistic sex and he wants to dominate his wife, and then the next moment the wife wants to have candles everywhere, wants to put the music, and wants to have a 3-hour lovemaking session. Like, being able to hear it all, like, and to understand that all and work together instead of like all women now together. We spoke about that before, that there are so many feminine circles, which is really healing for the feminine. But I think it's time to integrate this dynamics, even in feminine masculine circles, no?
That's the whole idea about the sacred feminine.
Wow.
This is starting with podcasts about these dialogues that I think that women need to hear us and men need to hear women. Like, really hear, listen.
I am so grateful for you for doing this.
Penetration is not always available, I would say, like, really. I've seen it's amazing when you see a vulva flourish. I've seen it with my eyes, like the form changes, and I think it's blooming because it's
Wow.
ready to
To
receive.
receive. It's ready, needs to be ready to receive.
Yes, and it's automatic, but it's like magic. But for the magic to happen, I think the going with a beginner's mind, it's always helpful. Like if you don't know anything, not
What's this?
expecting anything. Yeah, should I lick it? Should I push it? Should I bite it? Like,
Marit Tielo. Hi.
and then something magical happens, because you start to enjoy and listen to the
Yeah.
body.
Instead of doing the past experiences repeating again, like, oh, we're used to doing like wop, 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 like let's do that again. No.
And everything could be like an encounter of a new thing every with consent, with love, and explore, and it sounds simple.
It sounds so simple to be a human now with you. And to be in relation and
now the practice
relationships.
at the mirrors.
Wow.
We have
Maybe
to
we
handle
should.
the mirrors.
We I think we should have a talk again, like in, I don't know, in some time, and to see where we are, because
Yeah,
we were like,
okay,
I'm done.
I'm going backwards.
I think I'm done. Like this whole, I think I'm choosing my celibacy path now.
Yeah,
Could be, yeah, could be. But really, I'm super grateful because it also helped me. What I see in women is that they're really like afraid of sharing their voice and their truth, even and more about sex. There are so many taboos about these things, no? That one part of my brain is like, ooh, what if my parents are watching this? Like
Yes.
something like that.
Sorry, not sorry, Dad.
But I feel it's so important. Like, so for me, like for speaking my voice, I had the same. I was nervous before this podcast, like feeling, and then I was doing my own practice, like calming down my nervous system and saying like, no, it's time like to share what you say authentically, our experiences, because it's the only way we can learn also is through experience. We don't have anything other. You can tell me like, oh, that works like that, but I need to find it out for myself.
Yes.
By exploring and experiencing and then having like the learning. So
And I wanted to say that for women, like for men, be mature enough. Like I can understand desire. I felt it. When you hit up or your dick just goes erect without, you see a woman and it's like a different brain.
Sorry.
Like, dude, we're in public, but
you
I
can't
can
hide.
understand
Wow.
the desire of going after what your animal thinks should dominate. I'm not saying it's okay, but I can relate to it. I would never touch a woman's body if I'm not asked to. But I would say to men, it's more loving and more fun to learn how to get or to conquer the woman's heart, mind, and body. It can be tough, or you can learn how to say jokes or to dance or to write poems or whatever technique, but it's more pleasurable for both to learn how a woman open to you, not going afterwards, and that desire channelize it into cortejo, into seduction, into and I would say to women that you can also let your sexual and animal to play, because I think we want it. We want to connect. That's why millions of people are on Tinder or whatever.
I see.
But it's like kind of fear of just going, I want this. Would you like to practice, explore with me in this area without shame and with
That's it.
consent and love?
Yeah.
And like put our explorer helmets and go, let's explore the dimensions of the
Let's go.
secret.
Let's do a day of exploring today in other realms. Yeah. It's beautiful, Tielo. Gracias.
All right. Thanks to
you.
you, Marit,
It's really beautiful.
to this beautiful creationship. We're creating something,
Yeah.
I think, for the first time.
Yeah. And
But-
I saw this morning a video that we were in Rotterdam. You were in the Netherlands, and we were like talking about me coming back to Mexico, and here we are again, finding each other
Yes.
in space-time.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a blessing. I wish you like a beautiful exploration, and in 1 year, I want to hear how you.
Yes, let's make a 1 year.
Or maybe 1 week.
On
Go full on this week exploring, and then
when
tell
you
me how
see
it goes.
the clock, the sand clock, it's time.
This is an interesting one. You bring
It's
that back in my
Tielo, I'm
reality.
seeing. Oh, there's that sand clock. Okay, we have to meet.
Let's do
It's
it.
time.
It's time.
Cool.
Okay. They do this here, no?
Boom.
It's like the Mexican
Yes.
way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.